All right, how you guys been? Welcome to another episode of Fistinaframe podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. It is now, I guess, it'll be Turkey Day here in a few days, and you know what? I guess it's officially Christmas time. I guess, right? It's a sort of a weird feeling, I would say, only because I don't know. I don't know. I think no, I know why. I know why now that as I think about it and going to my next little phrase, I went out to the local strip mall here in my lovely little town, and what I did notice is a lot of people out, and I haven't seen this many people out in such a long time. It is really weird. The place was packed in the big box store. There's lines everywhere. There's people moving around. There's people walking everywhere. It looks amazing. It's beautiful. I love it. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen that many people in one place in such a long time, partly because of what we've been going through the last few years, partly because it's me getting out of my shell a little bit more. And it's really, that's what makes it surreal now, right? It just so many people out there, and it's been a while since I've seen people in a shopping mall. Now, I've seen a lot of people before, as far recently. In April, I was in Mexico City during a holiday weekend there. And in Mexico City in the holiday weekend, it was crazy. And I'm telling you, it was absolutely nuts where I've never seen that many people in my entire life. It was just, that was surreal. It's amazing. My brother was with me. I was with my brother and my nephew, and my brother says he's been in Times Square in New York City, and during something, some holiday, and he says even then there wasn't that many people out and about. It's really impressive. That's all I'm saying. It's really impressive, and it's it's a good feeling. I think it's a good thing. Now, I'm not sure if you people should be out there spending too much money you ain't got, but do your thing and spend responsibly. We're not going to get the economy rolling in one big fucking Black Friday sweep of things, right? A spending spree, I mean. Well, hopefully you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world. I've been going through a little bit of things, some good, some bad. Today I received my prescription sunglasses. That may not seem like a big deal to a lot of you, but to me, it's been about 2 years since I've had anywhere near 20/20 vision, especially on my right eye. My right eye has been blurry for the better part of 2 years. And today or yesterday when I got my glasses, it's gosh darn close to 20/20 vision. And I'm just happy about it. I'm able to drive comfortably, even going into the nighttime. And both eyes are pretty spot on. My left eye I don't really need glasses for my left eye, but what it does is when I put my glasses on, it's a sparkle. I get, everything looks crispy, and I love it. And as a photographer, I am very happy, very animated, very looking forward to doing a lot of things. Unfortunately, I was involved in a car accident. So my car needs to get fixed. Currently, it's at my friend's house. I need to get it towed to the body shop, get the body straightened out, and the alignment, hopefully, in the alignment on my truck should be working soon, hopefully. And of course, the third part is hopefully it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to get it fixed. Otherwise, there goes the gifts for the people that I was going to buy Christmas gifts for. All right, so it's been a minute. I have been watching a lot of anime, and I've actually, within the last couple, between episodes, I should say, I've actually rewatched a couple episodes. I've rewatched Dragonair Academy. I rewatched the one that I was really kind of on the fence about, that I'm that I really liked rewatching, as a matter of fact, is The Sacred Blacksmith. And while I don't really need a second season on that, I am very happy I rewatched it. It's an older anime, right? Where it's been years. It's been years since it's come out, and it's refreshing to see. It's one of the animes that I started watching right before right at the beginning. I would say my little renaissance of watching anime again. And yeah, 14 years. It's been 14 years since it came out. And again, very impressed. The Blue Eye Samurai is, I think that grew on me. Good anime is of course, our favorite anime is few and far between. And then we got a lot of mediocre anime, and then we have not the best anime. And my argument has always been and will always be that the worst an anime is going to be is still going to be okay, and you're going to be entertained. I just watched The Aristocrats' Otherworldly Adventure, Serving Gods Who Go Too Far, and that was entertaining. Surprisingly so. It's probably because it's right up my alley in certain things, but I liked it. It's pretty good. It's okay. The other one that I rewatched is Trinity 7. And given that it's it's good. I really am going to go out there and recommend it to people who are into this sort of thing. It's good. It's good. I recommend it to anyone and everyone. I've seen it twice now. Of course, I just rewatched it, and what can I say? It's good. The one that and that's a rewatch, of course. The Blue-Eyed Samurai, though, that is refreshing. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that, of course. And I'm just starting to pick up a lot of things that are on Netflix, right? We get into the thing where what is anime, what isn't anime, who draws it, all these things. But, we'll get into that into another time. What I wanted to talk about today is one of the animes that I did finish that's also on Netflix that I call it one of these animes that was worth the wait because you can't, you can binge watch it now. But when I started watching it, when it first came out, it wasn't available all at once. I think especially in dubbed. And it is My Happy Marriage, right? I was about to pronounce it in Japanese, Watashi no Shiwasi Nekikon, and that's the terrible, probably pronunciation, and I apologize, but I almost did, and I went, no, maybe not. It's My Happy Marriage. Now, I liked it. I thought it was good, but there definitely are some questions I think that are worth asking in this day and age where maybe some of the ideas aren't as popular as we wanted them to be. And, the reason I want to talk about this real quick is because in my sort of algorithm, I like watching a lot of YouTube, and I go through things and, things come up in my algorithm. And there's this lady that comes up in my algorithm, and I don't know her name, but she just started popping up. And I don't know why. because I don't watch these toxic male sort of like, hey man, you need to do this or know your worth or all these other podcasts. I mean, they're just, I can't stand them. They're people that talk about being alpha males. I look at them and they are not alpha males. I don't know what, I don't know what's going on there. But there's this lady that came up and, well, I guess I'll tell you about it since, we got time and you ain't got nothing to do. I sure shit don't right now. It's a nice little, I'm recording this at right at midnight. Sunday going into Monday morning. Monday midnight is just 3 after midnight right now. Oh, no, wait, hold on. I got the wrong time. It's 11 o'clock and it's still Monday, the 19th of November, in the year of our Lord 2023. The thing that this algorithm comes up, super long story short, it's about the big, I don't know, well, I do know, I'm going to explain why this thing probably came up in my algorithm. There used to be this podcast called Who's Your Daddy podcast, and it was these two girls. One, the blonde is named Alex, and the brunette Sophie, and they're cute girls, and they talk about a lot of things that young women talk about, but it was hilarious, and it's a great entertaining podcast. At least as it was before. I've only heard a couple episodes before, and it's a lot bigger now. But the problem is that, yes, I was a regular listener for a while, and then the podcast went dark. Come to find out that the brunette wanted more money because she was dating this boyfriend of hers, a moron, some sort of sub-level producer at HBO or something like that took a look at their contract and said, hey, you need to be making more money. Here's the thing, and I think it's worth to note that this podcast was actually, at the very beginning, it was a do-it-yourself podcast. They decided to start talking. They did some videos and some social media stuff. It was nothing really big, but they would record there was no video to it. They would record in their living room, talk about stuff, and then Alex would record it and then edit it and then upload it and then and then she would put it on social media and market it. Well, slowly but surely it started gaining traction, and then this company called Barstool Sports ended up going ahead and giving them a nice contract where they can actually just make a living from their podcast. It was a substantial amount of money as far as a living wage. It's not substantial in the sense of the millions, not yet. So they start going along, and they're making what is a living wage for Manhattan, which I don't know if some of you know, but it's ridiculously expensive to live in Manhattan. But now they can pay rent, a little tiny apartment, and they can quit their day job, basically, right? So they are recording, going along. Everything seems to be going well, and then it goes dark. And then that's when the boyfriend says, you guys need to be making more money because this, that, and the other. Well, it was true that they probably should have been making more money, but they had already signed a contract for something like 3 years, and they wanted to renegotiate just after the first year. At first, the guy at Barstool Sports who does the pizza reviews, he at first said no, but then said, you know what, yeah, it is fair. So they renegotiated for a certain amount of money to be divided up between the blonde and the brunette, Alex and Sophie. Well, it ends up being where they got into a fight and they went from being friends to no longer talking to each other. What ends up happening is that, let's just say that the amount was $1 million a year. They went from making $100,000 a year to now making $1 million a year. Let's just say these are not the accurate numbers. These are just numbers I'm throwing out. But the brunette wanted 50-50. And of course that can't be because she's only doing 30% of the work. The other part is Alex. And Alex goes, well, I think to be fair, we need to be closer to 70-30. And then they got into a tuffle. And then the boyfriend kept whispering in the brunette's ear, no, this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, she says, you know what? You should just leave her. Leave her the podcast, and you go off on your own, and we'll get you set up something else. So they split. So fine, this guy Portnoy, Barstool Sports, went ahead and just gives her the money for the podcast. So she's making the podcast on her own. The other girl, this bad decision number one, goes up and does something, and I don't hear her. But then again, I don't know what she's doing. I'm not sure what's going on with her. I don't follow that type of podcast. So Alex keeps recording, working at Barstool Sports. Then, sooner or later, she gets an offer from Spotify, which makes her the second highest paid podcaster on Spotify, second only to Joe Rogan, which is the number one podcast in the world. The highest paid podcaster in the world is Joe Rogan, and Spotify gave her an ungodly amount of money. So she went off and did well on her own. And this other brunette, who knows what she went off. I never heard of her again until last week when she's on this podcast saying that I don't even go out on a second date unless the guy shows me. If we're on a first date, I have to see the guy's bank account or else we're not going to finish the date and there definitely won't be a second date. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know the actual phrase, but that's what she more or less said. She needs to look at the bank account to continue with the relationship. What tells me is that when she's dating, and that's a series, and she just keeps making bad decisions. So that's a soundbite, and I think that that's how the algorithm got to me, because they somehow, she used to be on Who's Your Daddy podcast, and, that's the podcast that I came up, that I followed a lot and followed their YouTube channel for a little bit, and then obviously followed on regular podcast source app. And so there it is. Anyway, so to come back around, this lady makes this content about what it's like to date in 2023. This is what good men expect. And I'm not sure if the channel, and I think one of the reasons that the channel is really successful, at least it seems to be, is because the channel seems to be geared to both men and women, but the channel is geared a little bit to men as far as be good, be a good man, and good men need this, as opposed to you're an alpha male and you need to know your worth and blah, 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 and all these wenches need to be checked at the blah, 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 and things like that. If you haven't seen these things, you're lucky. And please don't go dig them up, because you're going to get infested with them. They are out of control. They really don't have anything to offer. Most of the time they're lying, and a lot of times they're just regurgitating what other people have to say. It really is just a terrible. Her name is, there it is, Emily W. King. I just have to say who she is, but because her content seems to be decent. It's not about a whole lot of clicks. She's got a lot of decent information, and while she may only be controversial to those who completely disagree with her, she is definitely non-confrontational, and it caters to people dating who want to date good people. She doesn't explicitly say so, but I dare say it's a little bit on the, let's just say I think it's a little bit on the Christian side. I'm just going to lay it out there, although it's not explicit, doesn't say anything, yeah. Anyway, this channel, again, is about being in the core family values, husband and wife with the family, possibly even somebody who values home, stay-at-home parent, and just what one would say, a quote-unquote traditional values across probably many cultures, right? Where somebody stays at home most of the time. The wife stays at home. She takes care of her man, takes care of her needs so that they take care of each other. And it is a sort of not necessarily throwing herself in the back seat, but being part of a team to help create a family. This is the projection that is sent out through her channel, basically what it means is that you, as far as I understand it, all right, and I'm not projecting her views on you or my views on you, or this is how I understand it, that just because it seems like you're serving your man, it doesn't make you a second-class citizen. It makes you part of a marriage. It makes you necessity, and in a lot of cases makes you maybe even stronger and a bigger part of the team than you think it is, all right? Why did I say that? Because here we go back around to my happy marriage. What does this anime have to offer if it's not that mentality to where you are put in a certain extreme? The situation here is, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right now. Spoiler alert. And the anime actually has a higher rating on my anime list than I expected because of the content value. First of all, there's magic. Who doesn't love magic, right? I think we all love magic. I think we're here because it's one of our favorite things. In the way that the way that it's spelled out in anime. Now, the storyline is pretty good. It's a sort of your classic. Hey, you don't know you're born. They mistreat you. You don't know you're special until one day you find out that you are, and then everybody wants you now. Sort of attitude, right? For the most part. Again, spoiler, if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. But as far as certain storylines, there isn't anything really new other than that sort of guide that I just gave you. However, the way that they do it is really very interesting in my case, in my view, especially because it's 2023. Now, I don't know where you guys are from, but here in America, to say that we're polarized might be an understatement. And while there are people that really view the core value, family value, household, keeping them barefoot and pregnant, and I dare say that I heard a politician, a pundit, if you will, saying that sometimes being barefoot and pregnant, or most of the time, isn't a bad thing, that is probably actually a good thing. That's what the quote was. And if you're following, I think you know who said it. She just happens to be pregnant and trying to, doing the college, riling up the kids thing, whatever. But right now, the problem I have with the vision of America is that the people that are talking about core family values are hypocrites, and they are doing other things on the back end that don't make them good people. To where I'm like, what are you guys doing? And if you believe in being a good person, let alone a good Christian, why so much hypocrisy, sort of thing? Anyway, that's for another podcast and another station somewhere else. We're here to talk about this anime thing. So in this 2023 era, seeing something that's about marriage and that seeing a woman be the backbone or be the support system for a very busy and powerful man is, I'm not going to use the word is, I was about to say refreshing, but it's not refreshing. That's not the word that I'm looking for. Is surprising, in my opinion. But, one of the things that we do is that we see a lot of strong female characters in anime where the Sacred Blacksmith, perfect example of it's a strong female character who wants to do very well, and something that usually a man in a man's role. And if you guys watch the Sacred Blacksmith, she ends up being good enough at it and actually helping out and saving the day in certain situations, right? Be a girl doing a man's role, yet being feminine in those roles. What I find is you have a lady, a woman, who as a child grew up in a household that she wasn't wanted in, that was supposed to marry to her crush, right? She had a crush on a guy, and they both had a crush on each other. But through a backstab that happens, and just because there's an evil person in there, there's two evil people in there that make it so that she goes, you know what? just to spite her, she was sent away to marry some other person that had a reputation of being a bad person to his what's the word, betrothed. Oh shit, betrothed. I'm gonna get that anyway. The people he's supposed to marry, betrothed, and everyone kind of running away on him. So this young lady, still very much into loving the family that she came from, accepts the shitty situation. She can't marry the person that she really loves, and she goes and she tries to make the best of a situation and be a great wife to whomever she ends up with. Through trials and tribulations, through episodes, she ends up trying to be the best she can, and a lot of good things happen because she's really trying. And it's a happy story. And you know, the thing is that the story is so well told, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing too, because I've got to give you this caveat too. I'm an old guy. I'm in my 40s. I've said this before, and I love watching anime, and I talk about this anime, and I love these stories. And that's the thing, is I love stories. And anime is one of the best vehicles for storytelling that there is. It's just that plain and simple. And again, this is a great story. So here you have, and the way that I see that is through this eyes, through where I'm Gen Z. I'm not Gen Z. I'm Gen X. And I am looking through the story like, okay, it's almost refreshing to see the story being told in such a way where a lot of people, I don't know, that's the wrong phrase. And I hate when people say that. You don't know if a lot of people say anything because you haven't taken a poll, and a lot of people is at least 51% of the population. All right. You can say some people and be okay with it. So some people, I can see how some people would view this and go, this is a little outdated. This maybe even a little misogynistic. And I'm thinking about what would really people think about this today. And I dare say, what would a feminist think about this today? And I don't think that, and I'm just talking out my ass here, I am not sure that anyone who's a feminist would be on board with 100% of the things that are happening here, but that's me guessing. I don't know how a feminist thinks. And I would like to see some objectivity as being told in the story, because everyone seems to have a role. And again, the story is set in, well, obviously it's in a mythical, ancient Japan, where this would have been normal anyway, right? But that's not to say that doesn't translate into the 21st century. And the story is being told in such a way to where it ends up being that through her wanting to learn and grow and be the perfect wife, be someone that can elevate the status of the house that she has been forced to live in, that through that, there ends up being real love, at the very least, real respect between her and everyone else, to where everyone see her trying, everyone trying to see her do her best, as they say. And again, it's a great story with a happy ending. But even though the high score here, I don't expect a second season. I don't think that like I said, I'm not sure that there's much more that can happen in the story. Again, the vehicle would be the same, people trying to get at her. Turns out, that through her spiritual and personal growth, she gains more magic power, finds out who she is for reals, and finds out what her objective is in life. And with that, she ends up saving the person that was supposedly stronger than her because of what she went through, without giving too much away. And I'm looking at that, and at the very least, I think we can all agree that it's a bold story to tell in the 21st century. But I think at the end of the day, it really is making an argument for a husband and wife in a traditional sense. Otherwise, why would you tell the story, right? Why would you tell the story in such a way, especially in this day and age, if you aren't trying to make a case for the traditional roles of a woman and a man in a marriage, where somehow the scary part that I find is that somehow you blast these people together, and in my opinion, out of sheer luck and hard work and determination, they do end up truly falling in love. And that is I think the scariest part is where you're smashing people together. And a lot of people, again, I'm using a lot of people and I hate saying that word, but I think that marriages in a lot of different cultures that are prearranged, I am not sure how those work out. I'm not part of a culture that has prearranged marriages in the sense of the families getting together and, making a big ceremony about it, as far as, and having political ties to where by marrying off people, your kids, you end up making some sort of ties and ended up growing together, growing more powerful as a family and as a unit. So I don't know anything about that. I have seen in my Mexican culture, there are kids growing up that like, hey man, it'd be nice if our kids got married, sort of thing. That's about as arranged as we get, as opposed to like, nope, you will marry this person because this person is X, Y, and Z and you're ABC, sort of thing, So at the very least, just the mere fact that this anime is made and told, and, I think it's from a manga, actually. Let's scroll down and see if there's it's a adaptation. Yeah, it's an adapted thing. So it's the reason that these stories are sold in such a way is because it is making a case for traditional marriage. And I find that very interesting. I am not, I have a podcast where I go off on my philosophy in life, which I really reserve here because I don't want to bore you guys or scare you away. But I am not for traditional marriage in the sense, especially in today's day and age, where there's a lot of entitlement going around. And I believe in traditional love, believe it or not. And I believe that love is found when you have something in common with someone. Like if you go out, not to a bar or not to a strip club or anything like that, but when you have similar interests. And a lot of the reasons is similar interests do start in school. And, your clubs, maybe in my case, I'm a photographer. I've met a lot of people that way. I've been very lucky. Maybe you like music and you go to shows and you keep seeing the same people over and over. I've done that as well, and I've been very lucky there. And to this day, and I knock on wood here, I haven't had to use an app to find people. And one of the things that I find is that a lot of people that use these apps, that use dating sites, when you meet them, you really don't have anything in common, even though you try to find common ground in the app. And even though the app is trying to do a lot of the work for you, the conversations to get to know them isn't there initially. And it's kind of scary to where I see a lot of people meeting through these apps, getting married, having kids, and getting divorced. And then the people that suffer are let's just say the traditional family. Or at least the idea of that. So I don't believe in traditional marriage in that sense, to where society is pressuring you to get married, and you have to get married. And you see a lot of these too, a lot of these animes, and a lot of the, I'm watching a lot of Korean dramas now too. I started my Korean drama podcast. I don't know if you guys want to hear that. It's Restless Samurai podcast, but there's a plug. There's an idea that it seems like, and don't get me wrong, there's pressure also in my Mexican culture where you have to be married by a certain age. in order to start a family. And then you're rushed into doing something that you don't want to just because you're being pressured, maybe not just society, but by your family itself. You need to be married by 25. You need to have your kids by 27. You need to do this. And all the time you're supposed to be having a career. And in this day and age, man, where the fuck do you get the money? Where the fuck do you get the resources and the money to pay rent and raise kids? And this is what I don't understand. Rent is in and of itself is so fucking ridiculous. Food is out of hand right now, guys. It is absolutely crazy how much you're paying for milk and eggs and beef and vegetables. How are you supposed to make enough money with one person bringing home the bread, quote unquote? This isn't in the 80s. It was so. I grew up in the 80s, man. And a man working a blue collar paid his mortgage. Our mortgage was $210 a month in the 30-year mortgage that started in 1980, I believe, is when my dad bought the house out there. And to this day, I don't know why they sold the house. I could have just told them that they for whatever reason, they were done with it. And it's nuts. And they sold the house. They didn't get anything for it. They sold it in a bad year. They didn't haggle. They just wanted not to have it. And I'm like, how? It's just $210 a month. And they were renting anyway. Don't get me started on that. But the mortgage was that you could buy groceries for $20. Your gas, man. Gas was a quarter. By the time I was in high school, gas was 75 cents, 90 cents. It's crazy. The amount of money that you're spending in, and to do it on one income, it's very difficult in this day and age unless you are very, very well off and don't need a second person to make that kind of money. And then you start thinking about, well, what kind of people can have a family and not be a complete shit show, and then we can go down that rabbit hole. But again, that's my view about the traditional marriage, to where, yes, I do think that the couple, each person needs to have a job, and that each person, in order to make it somehow. And unfortunately, I'm torn because I grew up with a parent in the household. And I noticed that some of my friends who grew up with divorced parents or parents that worked are a little different and are a little, we'll get into that whole thing. They have a different state of mind. They have a different outlook on life for sure. I mean, that's obvious. Everybody's experiences do that. But I'm talking about in the one sense. And of course, they are also end up getting married and divorced. And getting married too soon for the wrong reasons and getting a divorce, So, anyway, if I don't know, do I want to go back to the 80s and have somebody stay at home and have the man make the money? I should throw this. I don't mind being a house husband. I'll tell you that much. If my wife is making more than enough money for us to live together and have kids and yada, sign me up. I'll sit here and podcast all fucking day, cook. You guys know I can cook. Cook, clean, run errands, do some things, make sure everything's ready for the wifey when she gets home. Boom. I mean, I can be one of the greatest house husbands right now. I'm a great house husband right now. I just don't have a wife, Anyway, the whole idea of My Happy Marriage to me is amazing. The story was great. The animation is actually, the animation is really great. I love the animation. The story is intriguing. It's not perfect, but it is intriguing as much as you can get in 12 episodes, because I do think that maybe they realize that there's probably not too much room for a second season or a need for the second season. But the fact that the story is being told in this day and age, to me, I find fascinating. I really do. And this is why I decided to break it down today for you. And hey, man, see what your thoughts are and email it or send it through or whatever, man. It makes for an interesting conversation for sure. And this is as an old man looking at this, I do sometimes wish that I had someone that I can talk to about this that's my age, and talk to people about. I should make some sort of old man or old or Generation X anime talk or something like that. Maybe that's another. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's just an idea, a little forum to talk about on this. That's it. That's all I got to say today. By the way, it's a great anime, whether you believe in traditional marriage or not, and it's a great story. I think it should be watched, and good job to everybody that was involved in that. And and I do have to know what studios are. I have the information right here, but I do need to know what studios need to learn the information and the studios and all that stuff that were involved for this Kinema Citrus. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys listening to me rant and rave about traditional marriage via My Happy Marriage on here. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Be cool. Be good. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate that. Happy Turkey Day. And you know what? My view on Thanksgiving is this, man. A lot of people are like, you know what? It's got a bad vibe. The more we learn about history, the more bad vibe it's got, sort of thing. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on at least reserving one day a year to where we really dedicate to giving thanks and appreciating the things that we have in life and the things that go well for us. I don't know about you guys. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. As soon as I start to complain, there's something that happens. And halfway across the world, there are things happening and people not having a good time. And another halfway of the earth, there's just a lot of bad emoji going out there. I hope you guys are well. Let's find somehow, hopefully everything gets resolved peacefully. And again, at least dedicate a day to fully appreciate what you have and give thanks, and hopefully manifest something better to come along. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys have a good one. Let's keep watching anime this long weekend here in America and wherever you're at as well. Take it easy.